So my husband and I have bought almost $1 million property completely sight unseen. Hi, my name is Rebecca. If you're my mom or my dad or I'm in trouble, call me Rebecca. If you are my friend, you can call me Becca. So if you like what I'm saying in the comments, you can call me Becca. If you think I'm in trouble, call me Rebecca. But I wanted to start this to share a little bit about our most recent project that we've taken on. We always love doing new projects and trying new things, and sometimes they turn out great and other times they are a huge bust. So I wanted to get a lot of advice on what we're doing now, and since it's something we've never really done before exactly this way, if you've done this before, help me out, give me some advice, tips, tricks. It's all welcome. Would love to hear it. So my husband and I have bought almost $1 million property completely sight unseen. That sounds insane to even say that. I sound like a crazy person. Maybe we are, maybe I'm not. I don't know. I'll lay it out for you. Let me know what you think. So my husband and I, we've been married for 11 years now. During that time, we do lots of things. We try new things, old things. But we've always been kind of investing in real estate, whether it's buying something, flipping it, selling it, or renting it out. We've done a short-term rental for maybe 6 months, and then we converted it into a long-term rental, buying property, tax deed sales, foreclosures. Like we're not afraid of real estate, but they've always been on a much smaller scale than what we're talking about now. We have always loved going to the Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge area. We love the Smoky Mountains. I just feel like the air is so much fresher up there. I can breathe deeper. It's so beautiful. We live in Florida where it is very flat and hot, and every time we can get away to the Smoky Mountains, it is just a breath of fresh air. And every time we go up there, my brain is just like churning, like, I would love to own a house up here. This would be great. What if we bought a house up here and rented it out, and then we had a place to stay when we wanted to come visit? But I'm also always thinking much more long term than just wanting a place to stay when we travel. I feel like every time we go up there, there's more and more and more to do, and more stuff is always being built. So it's not like I feel like tomorrow people are just going to find a new place to go and people aren't going to go there anymore. I think there's also a lot of nostalgia there. Like, I grew up as a kid going there all the time, so I have a lot of great memories as a kid going there, and I know that everyone else does too. So I don't think it's just going to fall off and not be a touristy spot anytime soon. So the past few times we've gone up there, we have looked and met with realtors and looked at several different properties. For me, I have several things that I want in a house if I buy a house in the Smoky Mountains. I want it to have vaulted ceilings in the living room. I want a huge fireplace that's stone. I don't want it to be in one of those neighborhoods where like every house looks the exact same. I want it to feel like a cabin. Like our house now, I feel like is pretty modernized and I love it. But if I'm going to the mountains, I want to feel like I'm in the mountains. I don't want to feel like I'm in a modern neighborhood home placed in the mountains. I would love to have mountain views. I had a personal checklist of things that I wanted. And the interesting thing about the Smoky Mountain houses that we have looked at is seemingly, for example, a house that is $600,000 typically on the listings would claim to bring in about $60,000 a year. Or a $800,000 house would claim to bring in about $80,000 a year in its annual revenue. Granted, you have your expenses that come out of that, but that was kind of the general rule of thumb. If it took you 20 years to pay it off, regardless of whether it's a $300,000 house or a $1.5 million house, at the end of 20 years, what would you rather have? A $300,000 house or a $1.5 million house? Right? If the math all adds up to be the same. So this most recent time that we went up there in May. We met with a realtor and we probably looked at 10 to 15 different houses. And none of them really quite fit. Other ones that claim, like there was one we looked at that was $849, and it was like projections up to $84,000 a year. Well, when you then look at it like the house and get the rental history only showed like $45,000 of income for the past few years. And they seemingly all had some sort of excuse as to why they weren't performing where they should be. Like sellers would say things like, oh, Airbnb wasn't showing my house last year and we didn't notice that it wasn't visible for the whole year. Or, oh yeah, we stayed in a bunch ourselves, but if you listed it with this company, they claim they could get up to blah, 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 blah. Well, for us, it would be an investment. Like, we can't just cross our fingers on a hope and a dream and hope that your house performs better this year than it did all the previous years. Like, we wanted something that you could walk into it, have income coming in from day one, and pay your mortgage and profit a little bit more after that and make money. But then a lot of the houses that we looked at, like, they would claim like $100,000 worth of income. And then we'd get their numbers from the owners, like their actual historical data. And like on their P&Ls, they would be in the negative for the year. Like, these are people that don't even have mortgages on their homes that were bringing in $100,000 and somehow losing $13,000 a year on it, which I don't know. I know the whole tax game, so I don't know how much of that is people just trying to like run every expense that they can through it to show a loss for tax reasons, or if genuinely these houses are just like cash sucking up, and by the time you pay your cleaning fees and all your utilities and your maintenance and your management companies that take 20%, like there was one house we looked at, $100,000 of income, 20 of that was cleaning fees though. Like, to me that shouldn't even count. Another 20,000 of it was your management fee. So then you're down to $60,000, and then they had $5,000 worth of just regular expenses, not even a mortgage to keep the house going, with just like all the maintenance that it needed and stuff like that. And I'm like, I can't afford to do that. Like, that would be terrifying to me. And I mean, I just couldn't even do that. So like, as much as I loved that house, there just was no way that we could make that work. So we were looking around at all these houses, and either I loved them, but the numbers didn't make sense, or it was just too far away. Just nothing really checked all the boxes and was like, yes, that's what we need to do. That's the house. That's the investment we want to make. So we still had fun. We did the, Dolly Stampede, Dollywood. We hiked. We did the go-karting, all the fun pancake houses. We had a great time, but left the Smoky Mountains completely empty-handed and didn't make an offer on anything. However, we were driving and we got about an hour outside of town driving home, and you know me, I'm like always on my phone on realtor.com or Zillow or whatever the websites are, just seeing what's on, and like every day, what's new. Well, a new house popped on the market. We were about an hour outside of town, and it wasn't the perfect house, but the numbers made sense. So they were asking $950 for it, which was way more than what we were looking at. The ones we were looking at were anywhere from $600 to $850-ish. And so they were asking $950, but it claimed on the listing that it brought in $140,000 per year. And it said they had the proof to back it up, to back up the numbers. Now, this house was not at all what you would consider my dream house that I was looking for. It was in one of those neighborhoods where every house looks the exact same. It didn't have mountain views. It did not have a woodsy feeling kitchen. It, had updated cabinets and updated countertops, and it just did not have the feel according to the pictures that I was going for. But I showed it to my husband while we were driving, and he's like, who cares if it matches what we want, if renters like it, and if that's where renters are going and what renters are paying for, and it's bringing in $140,000 a year, like that's more than the 10% equation that we'd been looking at, or that 10% formula that we'd been seeing on all the other houses so far. It was a little bit more than what we were wanting to spend, but it was bringing in way more than $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year, right? So we called our realtor, and he called their agent, the listing agent, just a few minutes after it was listed, and got all of their documents and data from the past 2 or 3 years of rental history. And yes, it in fact brings in anywhere from $135,000 to $155,000 every year. It even had one year that it was up to like $160,000 or $170,000, but that was probably COVID related. So we couldn't turn around because we had something back home that we had to be there for. So here was the kicker, though. No one could go look at this house because it was booked up by renters. Like, there was renters with same-day check-in, check-outs for the whole month upcoming. So we could not even get in to look at the house. So before it was listed, their realtor had gone through and done a video walkthrough around the outside, the inside, and put it on YouTube. So our agent sent us that, and then our agent went and did like a video walkthrough of like the neighborhood and leading up to the house and walking around the house, but again couldn't go inside because there was renters in it, which I guess is a good problem to have. But so we kind of thought about it, and we're like, okay, let's do it. Let's be crazy. But here's where it gets tricky. So if you buy a house that's a current short-term rental house on Airbnb or VRBO, and it's listed with a management company, like they pay a management company to manage it and give them a cut of everything they get, you can then buy the house and continue on with that management company. It would just be a very seamless transfer of ownership. However, this particular house was self-managed by the owners, and the owners lived in California. This house is in Tennessee. We're in Florida. We were always kind of under the impression that by being a long-distance owner, you would almost have to have a management company, because if someone needs something, how do you manage that from states away? But we talked to some people, and several families that we know reassured us that you can manage from afar and do a good job at it. You just have to have good contacts, good connections, really good cleaning people. So we were kind of like, okay, well, we'll try it. We'll try to self-manage and save that 20 or 30%. And then if it doesn't work, we can always go through a management company. But the problem is if you buy a house that is self-managed, you can't transfer the Airbnb listing over to your own listing. You can, but when you do, you lose all of the rental history, you lose all the reviews, you lose all the momentum that algorithm has pushed for that house. You lose that it's a guest favorite or a super host. Like, you lose all of those things that house had and the momentum that had built up. You basically have to start over from scratch. Well, this family who's self-managed, they already had $85,000 worth of bookings on the calendar for 2025, and we wanted those. We did not want to lose those. So apparently some people like go in and they'll buy a house and transfer the listing over to their own personal listing, and then kind of like work together with the old host and message all the future bookings and say, hey, we've transferred ownership over to this listing now. I've saved those dates for you. I encourage you can you just move your booking over to this listing, and I'll give you a 10% discount or something like that. But we were kind of like nervous to do that because we knew we would probably lose some listings if we did that. So we kind of like wrestled, like, how do we do this? What's the best way to do it? Like, we need that income coming in, but we also don't really know what we're doing. So in our offer, we offered $875, and we put in that we wanted the current owner to continue to manage the listing through January 1st. And during that time that he would teach us what he's doing, teach us how to do it, give us, get us in contact with all of his cleaning people, his inspectors, like his handymen, all those types of people, and give us his emails that he sends to people, like whatever systems that he uses to keep it such a highly rated, highly booked house, we wanted to learn that over the next few months. They countered back at, I want to say 9:15 or 9:20. So my husband kind of thought about it. And so our counter to their counter was, okay, we'll do 9:05, and we want you to manage it through January 1st, but you'll only get 20% instead of 50%. And I think that was on a Wednesday afternoon, and we did not hear anything Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Sunday night they accepted the offer. And when the inspection came back, it was not the greatest. There was electrical issues. It needs a new roof. It had plumbing problems. It had termites in some areas. Cabin needed to be stained. Just some like little stuff like that. But when you added it up, especially like the roof and staining the cabin, it's not like you have to, but it just like looks terrible if you don't. And they kind of explained it to us as every house has things that need to be done, but this house just had a lot of deferred maintenance because it was rented so much. It was just like rent. But us, from being a long distance landlord, we don't want it to have problems. We want it to be right. After the inspection, we kind of figured out that there was about $30,000 worth of work that would need to be done in order to get it like peace of mind from afar. It's good. It's okay. It's not going to have a leaky roof. It's not going to have termites coming in. Like, all the electrical outlets are going to work and be safe. So we were like, okay, $30,000 worth of stuff. Let's split it. So we asked for $15,000 back at closing. They thought about it, but they eventually accepted it. So we closed on the house in mid-June, and I just don't really know how to do this. I am trying to learn as much as I can before January 1st, and I am excited to show you guys the numbers, and I'm going to be completely transparent with the numbers. I'll go over all the expenses that we're having to pay to get it up to where we want it to be, like with the new roof and getting it stained and the electrical problems that it's had. And of course, one of the first things we had to do was take care of the termites, just all the things. I'm going to be completely open and transparent, and I would love any advice that you guys can give. If you have tried doing the long distance Airbnb ownership, and if you tried to self-manage but then ended up going with a management company, I would love to know why. If you love self-managing, I would love to know why. Just please give me all the advice, tips, and tricks. So yeah, I am excited to share this exciting, maybe kind of crazy adventure with you. But kind of here's where our head's at. I'm like, okay, so if it brings in $140, our mortgage payment with taxes and insurance was like right at $5,500. If there's like another $1,000, $1,500, just on the high side, $1,500 of expenses between your electricity and your internet and your cleaning fees and, all the pest control, like all the normal utility expenses. So if you're into it for $7,000 a month, like including your mortgage payment and all the expenses, $84,000. So if it cost you $84,000 a year to have this house, but it's bringing in $140,000, you should be profiting $56,000 a year, should be. And let's say it only brings in $130,000, you're still profiting $46,000 a year. So we're feeling like it's kind of safe. Like, even if it only halfway performs, we're still able to make our mortgage payment with it. So, and hopefully once we kind of like redo some of these things, like get rid of the carpet and, change out some of the like little things, hopefully it will only book more and more and more. So we're excited. So my first thought is, okay, this is big, this is scary, this is the biggest mortgage we've ever had, this is the most expensive purchase price of a house that we've ever owned before. So I want to be extremely cautious, extremely careful. I do not want to get into a bad position. So I'm like, okay, if it's going to bring in, let's just say $50,000 a year, I want a $100,000 buffer. So my first goal is to spend the first 2 years, like after fixing the things that need to get fixed, every penny above our expenses, I'm going to just put into a buffer account for this property to build up in case something ever goes wrong, or what if there's another wildfire that comes through and no one goes and visits that area for a year? What if just what if anything happens and it's not renting, but we still have to make our mortgage payment? I want a $100,000 buffer, and I'm going to guess that that's going to take me about 2 years to get there. Put that away, never touch it. If you do have to touch it, replenish it before you do anything else. So that's kind of my thought. So save for 2 years, create buffer account. Then after that, let's save again for another down payment to do it again. So if you do similar numbers, which you could do more or less, whatever, but if you then start saving for your second down payment, it would take you 4 years after that. If it's 50, 50, 50, 50, $200,000, do the whole thing again. So at that point, you're 6 years in. So if 6 years from now we could buy our second house, then if the numbers are the same and you're making $50,000 a year off that house and $50,000 a year off our current one, then you're making $100,000 a year, and you still already have your buffer account that you haven't touched yet. So that could be safe for both houses. But then if you're bringing in $100,000 a year, it would only take you 2 years after that to save up for your down payment for your third house. So it takes 6 years because you're trying to do the buffer and save up 6 years before you can buy the second house, but then it's only 2 years after that to buy your third house. Then when you buy your third house, then you're bringing in 50, 50, 50, and you're bringing in $150,000 a year. Then it would only take you a year and a half to get your fourth house. And then once your snowball starts going, you then are making a ton of money each year, and you just keep doing it. Then when we're retirement age, so in about 30 years when we're ready to retire, one, we either keep all the houses and just collect the money as the income, and you're paying down your mortgages, so you're not having to pay a mortgage on top of that, and you're just cash flowing like crazy. Or you sell all the properties and you just sell 5 or 6 properties that you've paid off over the past 30 years, and then you get a huge chunk of money at retirement. I think either route or some sort of mix of both would be good. But I'm excited to go on this journey. I'm kind of scared, but all very excited at the same time. So I plan to do little videos maybe once a month or every couple weeks, just to kind of like update you, show you what the numbers are, show you what happened, the goods, the bads. But please, any tips, any tricks, any advice you can give, I would love to know.